Okay, can everyone hear me correctly?
We can hear you.
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, so this is going to be a very short one. I just wanted to touch on this. I'm sorry if it's too short, but today we'll be talking about nomenclature and how we name things. So nomenclature is defined as a name or the process of naming. An easy example of this is John and Jane Sussman go to the store. John, Jane Sussman, and the store are all examples of naming. Yes. Naming and nouns are for distinguishing multiple things. So I've come up with this myself. It's not actually real, of course. But the first I call are generic names. These are like, it doesn't show the preview. These are like store, restaurant, mod, thing. These are your regular everyday objects that are commonly referred to, and they're generic. Next are lossy names. These are like Jay, Sarah, Oliver, Modfest, or class. These are non-specific things and people. They're things that can be referenced and inferred by context. And then you have discrete names. Discrete names are specific things. They're referenced directly, and the way it's used implies that one discrete name must not refer to multiple things. So, for example, the namespace Botania, or the block Minecraft toilet block, or that UUID. So, why is this important? Well, we're making Minecraft mods with assets that need distinction from each other. So here's a brief history of mod IDs in Minecraft. Not mod IDs, generic, normal IDs. So this is an example from 1.7.10. Vanilla IDs used to have a limit to how many you could have. For example, block IDs had a limit of 4096, and blocks could only have 16 states. Also, entities, you can only have 256 of these. So, Minecraft IDs used to be very limited. This is in contrast to 1.13, which removed user-facing raw IDs and then replaced them with named ones. In 1.2, Minecraft prepared the Anvil format for the use of 4096 unique block IDs. However, this was not utilized until much later, but Forge was using this hack since 1.4. Prior to 1.13, it was possible to exceed the maximum ID limits. These are what I call lossy names. This is where mods like endless IDs and not enough IDs came in. This, of course, was hacky. 1.13 was therefore a beneficial update for modders in Minecraft in general, or so it seemed. Okay. Post 1.13 IDs were flattened, turning the previously lossy names into discrete names. However, the uniqueness of these IDs comes into question when you realize how people pick mod IDs. Just as limited IDs were once an issue, clashing IDs are an issue now, kind of. Different mods can, at any point, pick the same ID. This can be useful to, for instance, re-implement an API from another mod, like Keyfappy using the provides field. However, that is distinct from making a mod with the same mod ID. The point is that it's easy to reference these mods. You don't have to copy-paste a UUID. But when you're not doing this, it can be harmful. Even with namespaces, clashes still can and do happen, albeit rarely. So what can we do to prevent this? Well, we could use unambiguous mod IDs instead of acronyms, create a database of IDs to prevent clashing, coordinating with other modders about prevention of clashing, searching on the internet, which is somewhat unreliable, and we could also start using UUIDs. Now, some good examples of namespace naming are sodium, WTH is that, lithium, stuff like that. Who's playing that? Anyways, I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Now, another good one would be just the words architecture underscore extensions, which is very unambiguous, unless someone, makes the same mod with the same name. However, some examples of bad namespace naming are acronyms like WIJ, YQH, or WTHIT. Or just random letters. Don't do that. No, it's not. It's actually Widges. Is Widges ID actually Widge? No, it's a world in a jar, so it should be pretty unambiguous. So using full words, yeah. That's just for the command though. Using full words is better for naming your namespace. And having a fallback with commands to your full mod ID would be good. Personally, I think WTHIT is not very good because again, it's an acronym. Also, you should not call your mod example mod or Minecraft. Those are also examples of bad namespace naming. So now the issue is that you want to make your mod IDs as unique as possible while making it easy for players to use. You need to remember that players will be searching your mod ID or using the /give command. So what do we do about this? Well, in short, I don't know. I've started working on something called MoDB, which stores mod IDs it finds on Modrinth, and ones that are submitted to its database. However, this is obviously very hacky, and I don't like it. So then what can be done? Well, Modrinth can add support for ID searching. Modders can create a better, more formal database, or we could simply do nothing at all. And that's it. It's very short. Thank you for coming to my talk. I just wanted to briefly touch on how, there could be some problems with mod IDs clashing. Unfortunately, this is a very short talk, and I didn't expect it to be this short, but, next time I probably will work on this more instead of procrastinating, because I finished this yesterday, believe it or not, and only uploaded it yesterday. So, if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to drop them in now. So Applied Energistics recently switched to using the mod ID AE2. Is this an acceptable unique acronym or an ambiguous one? Well, I mean, it really kind of is about opinion because I'm not sure if anyone would pick AE2, but there's always the possibility that someone would. There are only so many, yeah, ass eaters too. Yeah, what if someone makes a mod like that? So, there are only so many 3-letter mod IDs that you can have, and it's a lot less than if you just said applied energy to or applied energistics to or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. It also depends on how big the mod is. Like, if you have a really popular mod, the chances of someone taking the mod ID are slim. This is why I suggested mods having their own unique UUIDs so that clashing mod IDs don't completely mess with each other. So why not do a Discord, have a UUID and a mod ID, and automatically assign a discriminant? I can't read the rest, but why? Why? This is terrible. From Stony Hoove, do you think including one's username in the mod ID might be a good way to get around mod ID issues? I think that's a very hacky way to do it, honestly. To be like honest here, I think that's a really hacky way. Just imagine like having like Sylv underscore world in a jar. That's weird and confusing. Like for users in /give, yeah. Where can I find your ID database? Well, actually, I can put a link block really quick. Here, I'll put a link block right here to a GitHub.
You could use Java namespaces, so like com dot whatever dot submod.
Okay, so I made a link block, and like Vix did suggest, you can use a Vix suggested you can use Java namespaces, which is an interesting idea. Maybe we could have like a secondary mod ID that you use for depending on it. Yes, provides is a thing in QuiltLoader and Fabric. When do you think a lack of a proper mod ID database will become a problem? Well, I mean, I think already some people have been having issues with people copying their mod IDs intentionally. But really, it's not really a problem. I just kind of, I'm kind of trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. But it is technically there, technically speaking. So it could become a problem in the future, especially when there are a lot of mods using the same mod ID. Yeah, Quat said static data incident. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but basically I think someone took the UUID, or sorry, the mod ID from the mod static dash data and used it in their mod and didn't use provise or anything. They just kind of copied it and put a broken version of it in their mod. Anyway. What would be a reasonable length limit for the mod ID? One of mine is double jump attribute. I think like a reasonable one would be like around like 4 words. You got to keep it simple enough, but also make sure that other people don't don't use the same mod ID. Apparently, 256 words. Apparently, Forge limits them to 63 characters. Yeah, I think that is kind of an arbitrary limit, but keeping it down to like 4 words, like for like anything like this is kind of the maximum double jump attribute. It's kind of reaching the maximum. has a conflict ever happened in the wild, except for example mod? Well, as far as I know, there was an incident with static data, which I just touched on. Tilda Justin said, using the mod ID as an identifying factor in the first place feels like a bad idea, akin to data storage by username, in my opinion. Yeah, it's kind of like how Valve doesn't even let you change your username, or whatever they do. This is just I just heard this somewhere, but apparently Valve uses the username as the some databases use the username as the primary key, which is not a good idea if you want people to be able to change it. And yeah, it only uses it for login. But anyways, that's why you probably should be using a number ID or UUID. But yeah, mods don't tend to change their mod IDs like people change their names. Well, that is true. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna put that back on the screen, Soul. This is revenge for nothing. From Anonymous, what could happen when stuff clashes or same namings are existing? Is it just not going to start, or are there going to be bigger problems with something? Yeah, so it just doesn't start. The way Quote Loader and Fabric Loader handle it, it just refuses to start and tells you, the mod resolver tells you that they're duplicate mods. Do you have any ideas about naming packages and classes for mods? By Luna the Lemon. Well, you should probably pick something like with your username. Like, for example, me dot sylv 256 dot whatever. But yeah. Generally, if you buy a domain, you can also easily if you buy a domain, you can more easily have a unique package ID. How could this be coordinated? Modders not a part of a system might just not conform. Yeah, that's sort of the issue. That's why I suggested Modrint adding a way to search mod IDs, which honestly should have been a feature in the first place, but I don't know. Yeah, so that is actually kind of the issue. Would UUIDs solve the static data issue, though? Wouldn't they have just copied the UUID as well? That is also another issue. There's nothing really stopping you from using the same mod ID. So that's always going to be an issue, honestly. Mod ID format. Hash of all the contributors' usernames plus mod name. Well, I'm not sure. That is. I mean, this whole presentation has just been a joke, honestly. I'm doing it seriously, but let's be honest, nobody really cares. I guess some do, yeah. I mean, yeah, I did also I just wanted to make sure that, earlier modders knew not to use acronyms. Whenever you're making a popular mod, I think that sort of kind of exempts you, but still, it's not really a good idea. The Modrith implementation of listing namespaces sounds interesting. Is there anything planned for that already? Well, you're probably going to have to look at their roadmap, or ask a developer, because, yeah, I don't know, basically. Slimus said, mod isn't popular when you start writing it, though. Yeah, that is an issue. Applied Energistics 2 did recently change its mod ID, like someone said. So, I guess that is kind of the exception and not the rule. What's in the chests that are backstage? Well, I guess you'll just have to download the world yourself to check out yourself once it's done. Should IDs include special characters like slash so we can have stuff like Minecraft : stone/stairs from Hugman76?
They
Personally,
already do.
yeah, they already do sometimes. Like if you search up architecture extensions in EMI, you can see that you have to press F3B or whatever, I think, or no, F3H first, but you can see that they already do. Yeah, that is an example of it. It's usually used to like distinguish like different like re-implemented block types. Naming conventions are also important in things which aren't namespaces. Are there other things to consider besides? And then it just ends right there. Standard something. I'm not sure what the rest says, but there are things that you want to consider, like, for example, you don't want to pick like a generic name like Foo Bar, like something that already exists, like Foo Bar 2000. Or you don't want to pick something that is very generic. Just usually using like your mod's name should be good enough. Standard Java naming conventions or mix-in method preferences. Okay. What if a mod site were to incorporate a automated ID generation system sorts for their mods, where each one has a something? It won't let me read it. So this sounds interesting. A unique ID number added to their base ID. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe, like, if, for example, you have two 8E2s, but, like, really, I think that it should just be something that tells you if it's already taken. Yeah, the unique number should probably be invisible to the user. Really, yeah. I honestly, at this point, this just loops back to UUIDs. Like, we should just be having a separate UUID for each mod, so that if a clash does happen, you can have both mods loaded at the same time. Is changing namespaces in mod development a breaking change, or is Minecraft / the modelers able to handle it with data fixers or something? Well, I think I don't know much about data fixers, but I believe it's I think that it data fixers would help. Maybe I'm not sure, but that's, yeah. Again, that's if you want to use DFU, which DFU is absolute hell. Could there not just be a fallback ID if two mods conflict? For example, changing automatically to example mod _1. Actually, that's also a pretty good idea. I think there could be like a list of fallback IDs that you could make.
The loader would have to keep track of which blocks are added by which mod, which
Yeah.
is hard.
The Epic block said that I don't think UUID is needed, though. Not using acronyms that are likely to conflict is enough. Yeah, again, this is sort of a rare thing. I just wanted to touch on how you should name your namespaces and what problems that could cause. And from Anonymous, how does the display read books? I have no idea. Um, look at the code
Parses
yourself.
it uses the command computer to read the MBT data.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it was very short. But I hope you, I don't know, enjoyed this, I guess. Um, yeah.